That is the lingering question, really. What works when dealing with the Hermit Kingdom? Anthony Ruggiero is a senior fellow at the Foundation for the Defense of Democracies. He comes to us now from CNN in Washington. Let's just take a sidestep for a moment and talk about the bomb in Afghanistan, the MOAB, all 21,000 pounds of it. The US says there was a tactical reason for it, but tell me what messaging you see in it, you know, for North Korea, for that matter, for Russia and Iran, who have both sort of been reportedly increasing their involvement there, but specifically for North Korea. Message?
Sure. I think for North Korea, the use of the bomb today, plus the Syria missile strikes and moving the USS Carl Vinson into the near the Korean Peninsula. Also, the Vinson is doing exercises with Japanese vessels. I think that is a clear sign to both Beijing and North Korea that Trump is serious when he says that all options are on the table. And of course, military options do reinforce and deter North Korea from any attacks that they might try and do against South Korea.
And do you think the North, I mean, it's anybody's guess what the North thinks, but you know, are there concerns, do you think, that Donald Trump, who has certainly been, let's say, unpredictable, might launch a preemptive strike on the North Korean nuclear capability? And what would that do?
Well, I think a preemptive strike against North Korea comes with a lot of consequences because unlike in Syria, North Korea can really devastate South Korea's capital and has a lot of ballistic missiles that they can rain on Japan as well. I think that we have to be, it was only 7 years ago that North Korea sunk a South Korean freighter and shelled a South Korean island, so it is North Korea that is really representing the military threat here.
How concerned do you think China is about this unpredictable side of Donald Trump? I mean, with the Chinese leadership having seen the strikes in Syria, the bomb in Afghanistan, would they be concerned about a preemptive strike? Would that be something they'd be worried about, or do you just don't think that's likely?
Well, President Trump certainly has China's attention, and it looks like they have finally abided by the coal ban that they agreed to in November. But, of course, Beijing is really taking the lowest hanging fruit, the easiest thing that they can do. Beijing is not willing to do the tough things that are necessary, like stopping North Korea's sanctions evasion inside China, which would have the most impact.
Well, I guess after all Donald Trump has said about China, currency manipulator, raping the U.S. economy, so on and so on, and more recently telling China to act on North Korea, how will the Chinese, do you think, be reading this relationship, given what he has said? This is what he's done. I mean, he's gone back on pretty much everything he said about China, from Taiwan to currency.
Right. I think that's why the question for President Trump is, if North Korea does a nuclear test or a missile test, will he follow up on the rhetoric of going after Chinese companies and Chinese banks, which is what he told the Financial Times before the summit, and that's still outstanding.
Yeah, the so-called secondary sanctions, if you like. There was an article, speaking of newspapers, in the Wall Street Journal, pretty much saying that President Xi gave Mr. Trump a historical perspective on China, Korea, the background, the history of it, and it seemed to have an impact on him, according to the reporting. He apparently said something like, I didn't know it was that complicated. Do you think that's a problem, a lack of depth of knowledge of the nuance required in situations like that when it comes to this White House?
Well, I'm sure that President Xi did not go over all the aspects of the China-North Korea relationship, how for the last 10 years that China has allowed North Korea to continue these programs and is not interested in really cutting off the sanctions evasion. I think that President Trump has experienced individuals who briefed him well, but I'm not sure that President Xi is the person that will give an objective view of China-North Korea relationship.
Yeah, interesting. Anthony Ruggiero, Foundation for Defense of Democracies. Thanks so much. Good to have your thoughts.
Thank you.
Really good points there.